I posted my keys on my page and I was like, oh guys, I just bought a house. And all my friends were like, we're only 23. How are you able to buy a house? I am at the point where my investment portfolio is almost $200,000. Wow. I was making around like $3,000 a month from my YouTube channel. And I was like, I'm making like $3,000 a month from work anyways. If anybody tells you that you can invest in something today and in 5 days you're going to get a 5,000% return, it is a scam.
Call the police.
Call the police ASAP. I'm standing at my doorstep at this point. He walks onto my driveway and I'm like, you are the asshole. I went on a date once. He started taking pictures of me during the date. And it was the first date. I hope he doesn't listen to this. But
I hope he does.
Like I could never trust him again. Learning about financial literacy is a huge privilege. I started investing on my 18th birthday. That's 10 years of investing that I've had. They are extremely difficult people to work with.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Literally some of the worst people I've ever worked with in my life. Yes.
I feel like this section of the interview is going to make a lot of people mad.
Right? And then I also worked at Payless Shoe Store, making $9 an hour. I have built my business to the point where I can pay myself like $100,000 salary right now. I always say financial literacy changed my life, and I feel like it could change everybody else's life too. And we did a session together, and I actually was crying at the end of the call. The worst financial decision that I have made is I just got into town like recently. I listened to her Tiny Desk today. It was so good. Yeah, it came out today, right?
I was at work and I'm like,
just anything.
She actually singing live. Yes. No, she sounds better than the album. Hi, I'm Reni, and this is TMI.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to TMI. I'm really excited for this episode because I have a special guest. Everyone says they have a special guest, but I do have a very special guest. You might have seen her on the internet, educating thousands of people about personal finance. Maybe you saw her when she bought her first home at 23. Or you saw her reading the federal budget at the Canadian Parliament, or just traveling the world and eating very nice food. She makes finance topics simple. Help me welcome Reni.
Thank you. That was a great intro. Thank you. I feel like my head is big right now.
And for those that don't know, she's also had a few news appearances, but let's loud it. CTV, CP24, CNN soon. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. I'm really excited for today's episode because I feel like we're going to talk about fun things.
Yes.
And things that you already talk about, but maybe with a little spin on it.
Okay.
But before we get into that, I think one of my favorite parts of this discussion is usually like the beginning or the start where we talk about background.
Okay.
So I want to take it back to the start. And the way I phrase this is like, what do I need to know about your upbringing and your childhood and your background for me to understand you today? So if I just met you and I'm like, I talk to you and I'm like, I want to get a context. What do I need to understand about the start?
That's a good question. I feel like a lot of interviewers do not ask that. And then people don't have context into who I am. So I am Reni, everybody. Hi. And I I was born in England to two Nigerian lawyers. And and I moved to Canada when I was 4 years old. So I've lived in Canada pretty much all my life. For 24 years, I've lived here. And I would say my childhood, it's just me and my sister and my parents. So I would say my childhood was a very close-knit family. And my dad was very into investing, both in real estate and in the stock market. So I feel like a theme of my childhood is money, which is nice, you know. And I feel like I grew up feeling like that was the norm for everybody else. I thought everybody's parents talked about money. Everyone's parents, when aunties and uncles came over, they would give them, money, and then their parents would tell them, put it in your bank account, not keep it.
Let me keep it for you. Because we know what happens when your parents keep money for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, wow. I thought this was the norm for everyone. And then when I got to university, my friend was telling me, when you get to university, they push credit cards on you, right? Yes. They are like, oh, here's a free iPad and free iPhone. That's
most people's first exposure to the credit world.
Exactly. But they don't teach you about credit, right? They just push it on you. So my friends was like, oh, I just got a new credit card and, you only have to pay the minimum balance every month. And I was like,
oh, no.
I don't think that's true. Because my dad had taught me right before I went to university, because I moved out, he taught me about it. So I was like, I don't think that's true. And she's like, yes, it is. My mom told me. And I was like, no, I'm like 100% sure that's not true. And then basically I Googled it for her and explained it to her. And I feel like that's where I started teaching people about finance, kind of. But yeah, that's a bit about my upbringing. I also played soccer from age 4 till 18.
Interesting.
So I was a very active child. Once I turned 18, I was like, I'm done with this, never playing again. And I really have not played since then. And I also traveled quite a bit growing up. So my parents are both entrepreneurs. So they're lawyers, but they own their own law firm.
Nice.
So I was
separate law firms?
Same law firm.
Okay.
Yeah. So they work together. I don't know how they do that. Right.
That is interesting.
Yeah. But they work together. And so because they had the freedom to choose their own hours, we also traveled like once or twice a year. So obviously, everyone who knows me knows I love to travel. I've been to 40 countries at this point. So yeah, I feel like it's a little synopsis of my upbringing.
Yeah, nice. The 40 countries just took out one of my future questions, but thank you. But there's so much to pull on there. I find it funny because the friend that you saved from, I say saved because she was going down a very dangerous path. Would you say that was like your origin story? You know how superheroes or villains have like their origin story? Would you say like that's where you're like, this is interesting?
You know what? I say that my origin story was in high school. I was always the one who wanted to help everybody else. Really? You know, like the smart kid in school who was like, yeah, but I was like the one who was like, yeah, you can copy off me if you want to. Like I just want everyone to win.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. Better than the people that like would like hide their work or give you fake answers.
Exactly.
And like,
So I tried to help everyone. I would say, you know, that kind of is the origin story of teaching people about finance with my friend, but she didn't even listen. So I was helping her like 2 years ago, trying to really get at it. So I'm sure she'll watch this and she knows who she
herself.
Is. Yeah, but now she's debt free. We're happy about that.
Okay, that's very good. I want to talk a bit about growing up with privilege. I think that's something you're very vocal about, like, you know,
always,
because we all know we don't start equally. And I also like the fact that you highlight that we all don't start equally, but what does growing up with privilege look like?
So growing up with privilege, I feel like, again, you don't really know you have privilege until you're exposed to something opposite to you. So for example, growing up learning about financial literacy is a huge privilege because I never got into debt because my parents taught me about debt. I started investing on my 18th birthday, you know. I'm almost 28 now, so that's 10 years of investing that I've had. And a lot of my friends just started like 2 or 3 years ago, right? So I feel like I didn't really know I was privileged until maybe, I don't even know when I finally figured it out.
I was going to ask, like, when was the moment they're like, wow, not everyone lives like me, or not everyone like behaves the way I do?
I don't know. I feel like maybe the first time I went to Nigeria.
Nigeria would do that.
Right? But the thing is, like, my family in Nigeria obviously is also privileged, right?
Okay.
So it's not like my family, it's not like, because my dad always told me that, you've never seen Nigeria. Do you know that? He said, you've been to Lekki Phase 1, and that is the only place you've ever seen.
For those that don't know, Lekki Phase 1, it would be like, if you're on the Monopoly board, it would be that green-blue street on the Monopoly board.
Exactly. Yeah. So my dad was like, I hope you know that you've never been to Nigeria before. And then one time we actually went to Osun State, and that's when I saw Nigeria.
Okay. Yeah. What was that experience like for you?
I loved it, honestly, but you know, I've been an explorer for a while. The only thing was the bathroom situation there was not, you know, my favorite.
I like how that's what stands out to you.
And I was like 8. I was literally 8 years old, and I still remember that it was a little traumatizing. Yeah, my sister literally didn't use the washroom the whole time we were there. Like, no she way. Held it. Yeah, the whole time we were there.
That is tough.
Yeah, she's just extra. But
yeah. Wow. Yeah. And how has, you alluded to it a little bit, but how has privilege like sort of shaped and enhanced / improved your journey in life so far? Yeah.
I feel like in a lot of ways. So one way that I'm privileged, obviously, is my passport. Being born in England, then moving to Canada. You know, I've had passport privilege since day one. And one thing I feel like I didn't know how Nigerians were treated with their Nigerian passport until...
I feel like this section of the interview is going to make a lot of people mad.
Right? So we're talking about Nigeria, right? Unfortunately, it's true.
It is true.
But I went to Mexico with my ex at the time, and we were all going for a wedding. It was like 50 of us going for a wedding. And I had my Canadian passport. He had his Nigerian passport. And like
Different
the way they
experiences.
questioned him, I was like, whoa, what is going on? This is interesting. And I feel like that's my first real experience because all my family members have Canadian passports, right? So anytime we're traveling, we're all traveling together. Yeah, that was my first real experience with that.
So you have like a British and Canadian citizenship?
Yeah, and Nigerian. I do have my Nigerian passport. When I went to Turkey in 2022,
Okay.
they were I went from Turkey to Mali because I was going for my friend's wedding in Mali. And yeah, they were rude to me because I used my Nigerian passport to go from Turkey to Mali. They were so rude. I was like, oh, what is going on?
It's like, this is ghetto.
Yeah, I was like, this is not the treatment I'm used to.
Oh,
yeah,
right. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
I recently became a Canadian.
Congratulations.
A few years ago, a couple years back, and that's all I can say. Just sigh.
The ease, right? It's crazy. Yeah, I feel like that's one type of privilege that I have. Also, realizing that I was able to grow up. I feel like I recognized this when I got into the workforce, that I grew up here and we are really encouraged to like speak up in classrooms, right? Encouraged to speak back to elders, basically.
Which is very frowned upon.
Exactly.
In
like in Nigeria, it's very much like when I would go to Nigeria and I would talk, the aunties would be looking at me like, who is this girl? And why is her mouth? I guess like kids are meant to be seen and not heard, right? Or whatever the phrase
And we're supposed
is.
to defer. We're supposed to be like, very, very docile
Exactly.
around adults.
Whereas here, I feel like my parents taught me to speak back, question everything, speak up about everything, basically. So when I got into the workforce, I found that I was the one who was questioning things, was talking up, and that helped me get promoted. Like every single year, I was promoted into new positions because they thought, oh, this is a critical thinker who knows things, right? And she is always questioning things and challenges the status quo.
Yeah.
Whereas with my other friends who maybe grew up back home not just Nigeria, like in India and other countries.
Immigrant experience kind of thing. Like there's a lot of deference. There's a lot of like, and I speak about this with my friends also. In many times, I feel like immigrants feel lucky.
Yeah.
So it's like,
exactly.
this is like, they've given me this chance. I don't want to mess it up. So I'm not going to speak up type of thing. Right.
Yeah.
But I also want to give it like props to your parents because regardless of the fact that you grew up outside Nigeria, a lot of parents still teach typical Nigerian like values.
Yeah. And
your parents didn't do that in that sense anyways of like speaking back and stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, shout out to my parents, especially my dad. Like once my dad found out my mom was pregnant, he started reading books and he was like, how to raise, I can't remember, we still have the book at home. It's like how to raise girls or something, or strong women or something. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, wow.
But
so he had a plan.
Yeah. From the day he found out she was pregnant, he was like, he stopped everything. Every thing he was doing, he was like, nah, I'm focused on raising these children.
I love that. Have you seen King Richard? The movie?
I have. I love that movie.
That it gives the same vibe.
Yeah.
You bought your first house at 23.
Yes, I did.
What was that like?
It's an interesting story. Everyone asks me this and I'm like, I don't know. Again, I've been investing since I was 18 years old. And then when I was 22, my dad was like, okay, I think, how much do you have in your investment portfolio? Okay. And I think it was around like $60,000 or $70,000 at the time. And my dad was like...
At 22, by the way.
Yeah. And again, I invested in Shopify. Okay. When Shopify was around $200. In 2022, it was around $1,200. Wow. And every 2 weeks, I was buying those shares. So I had a pretty sizable portfolio, even though it's not like I put that much money in. It grew significantly. Right? So my dad was like, how's Shopify doing? Because he's the one who told me to invest in it. And I was like, oh, it's doing really well. How's your portfolio? It has 60K or 70K in it. And he was like, oh, well, it's time to buy a house. And I was like, I live with you guys rent free. I'm not moving out to going to pay a mortgage.
Are you trying to kick me out?
I was like, Nigerian parents don't do that. I was like, I know you guys aren't typical Nigerian parents, but you can't kick me out.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, especially for like daughters. That's very rare.
Right? I was like, you can't kick me out. And he was like, no, you can just buy it and rent it out to someone. And I was like, yeah, but the houses here in Mississauga and Toronto are so expensive. I can't do that. And my dad was like, just go and buy in London, Kitchener, Waterloo, somewhere outside. I was like, I don't really want to be a landlord. And my dad was just like, just do it. And I was like, okay.
He like tried the nice way. He's like, just do it.
And he called up his realtor and he was like, let's set up a call. And then the realtor started sending me all the listings. Honestly, for 3 months, I ignored every listing. Really? I didn't even look at that. I didn't care. Like,
was it nerves? Was it like just I don't care? Was it?
It was literally lack of interest.
Okay.
I just was like, I'm too young for all of this.
Okay.
I'm just a baby girl. And my dad was like, you're not a baby anymore.
Yeah.
But my dad has pushed me to do a lot of things, I will say. Like getting my license. I was like...
Your driver's license?
Yes. I was like, I don't want to drive. I was 16. And you can get your license at 16.
Yeah.
He forced me to go and get it. Yeah, like whatever. But so... And then my dad was like, okay, it's been months and you still haven't gone for any showings. You haven't even acknowledged these. So he was like, I think the realtor messaged my dad and was like, is your daughter serious?
Are you pranking me? Like,
Right?
is she really in it?
So we went to see a few properties and I, honestly, after the first weekend, I was like, bro, this is so exhausting. Like, I don't want to do this.
I wish you had documented this like process.
I know, I
right?
wish I had.
Like buying my first house as a 22-year-old.
I really wish I had.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
But then he found a new build because I thought all the properties were kind of ugly, but I was like, yeah, let's go for it. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not living here. Let's just do it. And then he would point out like, oh, but this roof is old. You're going to have to replace it in this many years. This. And I was like, okay, then why are you showing me this? Anyways, so then he finally showed me a new build and he was like, this is the model home and it's going to be finished next year, whatever. So then I was like, okay. And then I said, sure. And the down payment was like 10, or the deposit was 10K.
Okay.
So okay, I could do that. And then I put that down. And then a year later it closed. And then I started my YouTube channel to talk about the experience.
Wow. And so a few things, just a few questions there. Were you working at the time?
Yes. So I was working as what was I at that time? Marketing manager at the Bank of Montreal.
Okay. And your dad, did your dad co-sign the purchase? Wow.
No, they actually gave me, I'm so confused. I don't know. They gave me a whole mortgage at age 23.
Was it with BMO though?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
So maybe because I was an employee, they did. I didn't look elsewhere. I just went to them. So.
I find it hilarious that you're questioning the people that lent you money.
Like, no, they really give me like a $300,000 mortgage at age whatever it was. Yeah.
And you mentioned a YouTube channel. We're going to circle back to this, but that buying the house at 23, I guess that propelled, that was like a big boost for your channel starting up, right?
Yeah. So I would say I've always created content and I've liked to share my life online anyways. Like that, I used to share fashion content and every...
Really?
Yeah.
You're a fashionista?
Yeah. Every Sunday I would be like, here's my outfit of the day. I would post a picture and it was doing well. Well, not well. I had like 2,000 followers or something like that. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I wasn't making any money, but a few brands were like sending me clothes. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Okay. And then I posted my keys on my page and I was like, oh guys, I just bought a house, and all my friends were like people I actually knew were like, are
you trolling?
Yeah, they were like, what? We're only 23. How are you able to buy a house? And I told them, oh,
you're like privileged.
Right? I was like, oh, you guys, I've been investing in the stock market since I was 18 and blah, blah. And then they were like, no, we need more details than this. So I said, do you want me to start a podcast? Do you want me to do a YouTube channel? Do you want me to just put this on my stories? And then like most of them were like, make a YouTube channel. And so I started my YouTube channel and that's what it propelled my channel forward.
Interesting. You've been very vocal about the downside of being a landlord, the downsides. I think a lot of people don't talk about that. And I think you've carried that mandate to like spread the word that, it's not all butterflies and sunshine.
Yes.
What were your biggest learnings from being a landlord?
That I'm not a good one.
Well, good self-awareness.
Yes.
To start.
I feel like the fact that I have to raise someone's rent is like very hard for me. So I feel like if I had a partner who was managing the property, I could just sit back and collect the money, but it's just not in my heart. Like I talked to Christiana, right? I was like, girl, I haven't raised my rent in 3 years.
3 years?
Yes. And she was like, what? So she sent me the form and I did it she pushed me to do it, and my parents have been trying to push me to do it for 2 years. But I don't know, it's just not in my nature.
Why? Is it more of an empathy thing? Is it like you're just non-confrontational? What is it? Well, I know you're not non-confrontational. We spoke about that, but what is it?
I feel like it's an empathy thing because I'm like, life is expensive, and now your rent is increasing. It's so sad. But then I took a look at my numbers, and I was like, I probably should increase this rent. I would say my biggest learning was about that you have to consider all the costs when you are even just a property owner in general, not just a landlord. Because I feel like I was charging around like $1,900 for my rent, and my mortgage was around $1,200. So I was like, oh, easy. This is calm. Like I'm making $750 a month. This is easy, whatever. But I don't think I really thought of, there's property taxes, there is maintenance. You have to pay the realtor the first month's rent. Like there are a lot of, you're not getting all of that money to yourself, right? And then my interest rates, I got a variable mortgage in 2020. Yeah. And now
that was when it was rock bottom, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
my mistake, my biggest mistake. Not locking in that fixed rate, but whatever. We live and we learn.
Okay, so if you hidden in quote costs, mortgage, potential mortgage increase, those are the things that mostly like stood out about being a landlord, like the downside of being a landlord, right?
Yeah.
Are there any positives? Well, other than you own a property, equity, and etc.
I think that's the only positive. Like it's good. Yeah. I feel like if I want to buy a house in the future, I can just pull from that equity, buy my second property. So that would be nice. But other than that, like nothing really. Like we have a housing crisis in this country. So I'm like, am I contributing to this housing crisis?
Am I the problem?
Right? Yeah.
Would you do anything differently?
Only thing I would do differently would be fix my rate at that 2% that they were offering me back then.
If we all had like a crystal ball.
I know. And I wanted to. And the person at the bank was like, you should fix this rate.
Really?
And I told my dad, and my dad was like, the reason that they say that is because they want a guaranteed payment throughout the lifespan of the property, of the term. Whereas if you do a variable rate, it could be less that you're paying them. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Let me just do variable. Regrets.
I can imagine.
Whatever.
Why personal finance?
Why personal finance? Just because I feel like my parents, one of the privileges that I have is that my parents taught me about financial literacies from a very young age. So I opened my bank account when I was 4 years old. They taught me about saving and investing at a very young age. When I turned 18, again, investing, got a credit card, built my credit. So again, I felt like everybody knew this stuff until I realized that everyone did not know this stuff. So I felt like personal finance was something that everyone should know. And I felt like I had a really good talent at making things very simple. So making complex topics simple is like my motto or hashtag or whatever you call it. And yeah, so I don't know, I just felt like this is something the world needs. And when I would go online and search personal finance, because obviously I'm interested in it, I would search for it, and then everyone was an old white man. And they were talking using big jargon, and I was like, this jargon is... nobody can understand this. We need to speak the language of the people. Yeah. So I felt like I was going to fill this gap, basically. I didn't see anyone like me. And if I did, they were in the States. They weren't Canadian. So I was like, there's no Canadian Black woman talking about this. Let me do it. And
it was very clear to you that like this is your lane and there's an opportunity here.
Exactly. I did start off like sharing everything that I like. So I continued my fashion. I was like sharing finance. I was sharing career, a bunch of stuff. But then I was like, finance is the one that's really resonating with people. So I stuck to that.
And what is your relationship with money like? Ooh. And has it changed, and how has it changed over the years?
My relationship with money is that I feel like money is abundance. And I literally I love money, okay? Money is my friend. I feel like money is attracted to me.
I love it.
I sound like the woo-woo girlies, but literally, like I'm so blessed to have an abundance of funds, and yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that I'm able to make this money by just sharing about my life and what I've learned about money. But my relationship with money, I feel like it's always been pretty abundant, which I'm blessed. Again, I grew up privileged, so I've never had the scarcity mindset towards money. So I spend money on the things I love, and I don't spend it on the things that I don't. And I make money and I invest my money, and I can't wait to be a millionaire. I'll tell y'all all when I'm a millionaire.
I'm looking forward to that. I have a feeling it's not far away.
Loading.
So you would say you're responsible with money, but you're also you're cautiously irresponsible when you want to be, right?
Exactly. I feel like I plan for my irresponsible. So it's not really irresponsible, right? It's like traveling. Okay. Even since I was in grade like in university,
Okay.
I still put money away every month for travel. Not that I could afford to put much away. It was like $50 every paycheck, but it was still something because I was like, this is important to me. I moved to Thailand for 5 months on a study abroad program when I was in Schulich. And I worked 2 jobs that summer. So I worked at BMO and then I also worked like at Payless Shoe Store, making $9 an hour.
Wow.
I did both. And I didn't have to do both. Again, I live with my parents, right?
Yeah,
I didn't have to do both, but I wanted to save enough money so that I would never have to ask my parents for money while I'm in Thailand. So I saved everything that I made from BMO that summer. And they pay pretty well for like interns. I saved all that money. And then I lived off of like the money from my my part-time job that I was working. So I feel like I've always been a hustler, you know?
I just want to point out that a lot of people in university were fighting for their lives.
Yeah. No.
Financially.
Yeah.
And you were saving for a trip to Thailand.
Yes, 5 months in Thailand. Yeah.
That's quite the contrast.
Privilege, you know.
Yeah.
I was privileged enough to have parents who paid for my entire education. My parents started investing when they moved to this country and they put money in my RESP. And they sent me to university for 4 years, my sister to university for 4 years. My sister's in law school right now. Law school is expensive. She's fully paid for.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I've had a guest also or a couple guests that are also immigrants, that are actual immigrants. And we've mentioned countless times that one of the biggest gifts our parents gave us was like no student debt.
Yeah.
I think always because I have friends, like it's like a cloud over your head. It's like, you know, an elephant in the room. Like after you graduate, you're trying to get your life going, and it's just, it's a gift. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, Nigerian parents ate with that.
Hey, shout out Nigerian parents for that. At least there's other things, but shout out to them for that. Money is a tricky topic for a lot of people. It's not a topic a lot of people love talking about. People like money. That's like a general thing. But why do you think people find it hard to talk about money?
I feel like it's hard because nobody teaches us about it. So it just feels like an uncomfortable topic that's like, you don't want to say the wrong thing. Everyone thinks they're bad with money, but it's like, you're not bad with money. It's just like, I don't know how to build a bridge. It's not that I'm bad at building a bridge. Yeah. It's literally that I just don't know how. And if I wanted to learn, I could go learn how to build a bridge. Same thing with money. You can learn how to get good with money. So I feel like it's because of the lack of education and the taboo around it's such a taboo topic that we just feel uncomfortable broaching that topic. Yeah.
And what do you think the origin? Because I feel like a lot of money, I feel like almost everyone's money relationship is tied to their childhood.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of people in your house, some people, they never spoke about money in their house. Like it's, you know, hush hush.
Yeah.
You know, nothing, no form of education is one thing, but even just talking about it, like transparency is another thing, right? And I feel like a lot of people carry that to their adult age.
For sure. Yeah. And I know you said education is one thing, but I feel like our first education with money is in the home, right? Yeah. So if our parents talk about it, if they're open about it, that is our education. If they're not, you learn that, this is a topic that maybe I should not know about. Yeah. If your parents are always stressed about money, you carry that on and you have stress about money. Yeah. Or some people, if they grew up with no money at all, then when they get it, they blow everything because it's like they never want to feel how they felt as a child. So I feel like money trauma impacts everyone very differently.
Ways. I think another like facet to that is a lot of people some people that grow up without money, when they do like get money, they don't stop working like ever because it's almost like the poverty is like on their heels all the time. So it's like a continuous like motivator, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
they never want to go back.
Exactly.
Right? But which is good and bad.
Exactly.
Right? Like me, I'm like, I was like, should I take the year off? And I was telling you before that like I'm taking the summer off. Yeah. June till September.
PSA. If you're trying to book Reni, she's unavailable.
I'm unavailable.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm taking the summer off, and that's my idea of like living my rich life, where it's like I'm going to travel all summer. I'm going to go to concerts. I'm going to go to festivals. I'm going to enjoy my life. Yeah. And I'm not going to work. And I feel like my mom is just like, what are you doing? Like, what if the brand deals stop coming? What if this? And I'm like, then I'll go and get a 9 to 5. Like it's not that. So yeah, I feel like I'm privileged to not have that scarcity mindset. But yeah, I feel like if everyone went back and analyzed their childhood, and they would see a lot of parallels from how they're acting now versus how they interacted with money in their childhood.
Yeah. I think personally, like growing up, my dad was in finance. So, but he was also very open. Like he would he wouldn't. Nigerian parents would never tell you how much they make. Like that's a given.
Even
but
me,
like,
I don't know how much.
But when we go out, or we got like pocket money, he would get us to like account for it. Like, what did you spend it on? Like, give me like a breakdown, your budget, like stuff like that,
That's
right?
good.
And it wasn't anything huge at the time, but it carried on to like my adult life. Like I started saving like as early as I could. Like in my my early co-ops, I blew the money. I'm not gonna lie, but like in uni, some of my jobs I saved and stuff. But yeah, I think a lot of things is tied to childhood. But let's talk about money mindsets. I think you've been vocal about this on your platforms, and I want to talk about what money mindsets are keeping people broke, in your opinion.
I think one money mindset that's keeping people broke is the need to spend before they save rather than save before they spend.
Okay.
So I'm the big believer in pay yourself first, where it's like, okay, you get $2,000 as your paycheck. Instead of just, buying everything that you want to buy, you first say, okay, I'm going to set aside $200 of this towards my investments or towards my savings, or both, ideally.
Okay.
But I think the more common thing is to just spend it on whatever is coming, whatever you want, whatever you desire. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. As I said, travel so much. This year I've been to 4 countries, and I plan to go to a lot more this year.
Okay, it's only June.
So, right. So I am definitely not telling you not to enjoy your money, but I have prioritized maxing out my investment accounts before I ever travel. Like I will never travel if my investments are not funded. So that's the difference. Okay. Another money mindset I think is keeping people broke is trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Okay, I like it.
I know we hear that all the time. Our parents are always telling us don't keep up with the Joneses. And I feel like a lot of people think that just applies to, okay, don't go buy the newest Lexus or nicest car or buy the nicest designer purse, right? I feel like that's what everyone's mind
it's the
goes
big
to.
Stuff, right?
Yeah. But it's also the little things. Like we go on vacation and then we have to do vacation prep, which means we have to go buy a new wig, bust down 30-inch wig. We have to go and, do our nails, toes, wax. And then
we need some fits also.
Oh, and then all the fits. That's the thing. It's the 7-day wardrobe. We're going for 7 days. We need 14 different outfits. That is my issue. Okay. Like, I get it because we all like to look good, but you actually have clothes in your closet. And if you don't, you probably don't need 14. Like, should you be going on vacation? I'm joking.
I was going to say that. I was gonna say, if you have no clothes in your closet, maybe you should reconsider.
Maybe travel is not
the vacation.
Yeah, but no. I am somebody who last year, or maybe it was 2022, I decided I'm not buying new clothes for vacation specifically because I have clothes in my closet. And I think we all have, most of us do have clothes in our closet. So I feel like it's the little things that we tend to overlook. And the reason you're probably doing that is you saw an influencer online that was like, come with me to do my $1,200 vacation prep. And now it's just become the norm for everyone. Yeah. Where it's like, I see people buying drones and this and that. And I'm like, are you buying it because
drones?
And they, like, I guess, like if you truly care about capturing the content,
if you don't have a drone before you go on vacation, chances are...
Exactly. I'm like, if you truly care about capturing the content, I get why you'd buy a $600 drone. But most of you, you don't post anything.
Yeah.
And you're not even going to look at the video once you... So what is the point? So it's the little things. And they do add up. And I do a lot of one-on-ones with people. Like this year, I've done over 150 one-on-ones with people. And that is one of the things I see. They're booking trips. They cannot afford to book those trips. And then the vacation prep on top of it is the real issue. So... yeah, that's a money mindset that I see that's keeping people
that's interesting. I think something that's adjacent to that is also like lifestyle creep.
Yes.
What's your take on that also?
Yeah, so I see a lot of people who, they're grinding to increase their income, which is great. And then once they increase their income, all their fixed expenses also increase. Yeah. I know somebody who recently got so they were in school, they were living in a really cheap apartment, like $500 a month. And then they got a new job. They increased their rent to $1,500. And I'm just like,
wow. That's times 3?
And this is in Winnipeg. And I'm like, like of all places.
No offense to Winnipeggers.
Offense. Yeah, no offense to Winnipeg.
Some offense.
Yeah. But she said it's the newest building in Winnipeg. and it's a brand new building.
Why?
Because she said she's making bigger money now. She needs a bigger apartment. And I honestly, I get it. But I just told her that like, you have a lot of student debt that you should. I wish you had paid off all your debt before.
Oh, she does have student debt.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
And credit card debt. So I'm just like, I wish we had focused. I wish she had called me before she moved into the apartment. Because I'm not going to tell her, okay, move to a new apartment. Like, that's not realistic. Well, she could, but it's not realistic. So yeah, a lot of people tend to increase their expenses drastically once their income increases. But it's smarter to actually like keep your same expenses and increase your income and then invest the difference or save the difference. But unfortunately, that doesn't really happen.
Yeah, that's very true. I want to talk into some more practical things. How could someone that wants to invest start investing?
Good question. This could be a whole podcast.
I know. We'll keep it simple, high level for now.
Okay, so investing, for those who don't know, is the process of buying an asset in the hopes of, not hopes, well, the plan is for it to increase in value. So you buy something at $100 and you sell it at $120, for example. You can do this in a number of ways: investing in real estate, investing in the stock market, investing in crypto, investing in, what else is there? Forex. There are lots of different ways to invest for beginners. And the thing that's most accessible is, I would say, investing in the stock market, where you buy and sell. And stocks are like a little part of a company. So there are public companies across the world, and you can become a part owner in any of those companies. Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, all these different companies. I would say if you want to start investing, you find an app in your country that is suitable for investing. For example, in Canada, Wealthsimple, TD, those are examples. And you can go on that brokerage and say, I want to buy a portion of Apple or Tesla or whatever. I would say for beginners, don't start with buying individual companies. There are funds that you can invest in instead. Not mutual funds, but index funds or ETFs, which are exchange traded funds. And you can basically become a part owner in any of the companies inside the fund. And it's created by a professional fund manager, so you don't have to do all the work by yourself. So one that I would recommend for beginners would be like the S&P 500. This is the 509, I think, largest companies in the US right now. And yeah, you could just buy that one fund and own 509 companies easily. That's where I would start when it comes to investing.
Yes, and another thing I think you've also mentioned is there's no minimum amounts to investing. That's another thing. A lot of people, when they start out, they're like, I don't have enough money to invest.
Exactly. Like I started investing when I was making the $9 an hour at Payless, right? So you literally do not have to make too much money to start. A lot of companies do, or a lot of brokerages do fractional investing, where you can basically buy a portion of it. So even though, let's say Apple costs, I don't even know how much it costs right now. Let's say $300.
You've done so many stock splits.
Yeah,
you
I have no idea. Let's say it costs $300 right now, and you don't have $300 to purchase it. You could buy $10 of that share. So maybe whatever percentage that is of the share. So there's a very low barrier to entry, unlike, let's say, investing in real estate, which you would definitely need a lot more than $10 to invest in real estate. Yeah,
that was a very good summary of investing. Very good starter pack for that. And some benefits in investing, like that. I guess you're a seasoned investor at this point, 10 years plus in. What are some benefits to investing that you've found?
Yeah,
I would could explain compound interest to us too. I would love that.
Oh gosh. I would say the benefits of investing is just the fact that your money is growing faster than inflation and faster than saving as well. So if you're saving, let's say, what are you going to get? 3%, 4% per year?
That's very generous.
It is. Okay. If you're going with one of the high interest savings accounts, let's say 2% is what you're probably going to get. That's great. Your money is growing at 2%, but what is inflation right now? I don't even know what it is, but let's say 4%, 5%. Your money is actually losing value every single year. Whereas if you invest in the stock market, if you invest in like the total US stock market, the average returns have been about 8.5%, I believe, over the past 151 years. So because of that, your money can grow faster than inflation. And if you plan to retire one day, if you plan to, just enjoy your money,
life, yeah.
you really need your money to grow faster than it is losing value.
Yeah.
And again, as I spoke about earlier, I have invested in Shopify. I'm not telling you to invest in Shopify, by the way, but
this is not financial advice.
No. But I invested in Shopify, and it grew from $100 to $200 to $1,200. Wow. And there's no way I could have predicted that. Yeah. But it's also no way that I could have saved that money and it could have grown that quickly in such a short period of time. So if you really want to make your money work for you, you need to invest. It doesn't have to be in the stock market. It can be in other investments, but make sure that you're making your money work for you. We don't just want to work for the rest of our lives and have to exchange our time for money. I'm at the point where my investment portfolio is almost $200,000. Wow. And even if I never touch it again, the compounding, as you mentioned, it's going to grow and grow and grow. Okay. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Beauty, I love how passionate you're. Like, this is so good. Like, why is everyone doing this?
Like, I always say financial literacy changed my life, and I feel like it could change everybody else's life too.
You say like you're like a financial literacy evangelist.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like in like tech companies they have like software engineer evangelists, and I'm like, what does that mean? It's like you just people that like love talking about stuff and like putting it out there.
That's
you seem
me.
like
it is me.
Yeah. Do you have a rule of thumb for like saving and investing in terms of like percentages and like, you spoke about paying yourself first. And I find that interesting because when you hear pay yourself first, when I was young, I thought of like self-employed people, right? It's like, when you get income, just like pay yourself first and then like, but everyone should pay themselves first. But like, do you have any rule of thumb or like advice that you give people?
Yeah, honestly, I think there are rules that we have or guidelines, but I feel like it's so individual based on your situation. Yeah. I think at least 10% of your income should be saved and 10% of your income should be invested. But if you're someone like me who lived at home with no rent and no real bills except my car, then I could afford to 50% of my income is going towards my savings and investing. So I think it really depends. And honestly, the younger that you are, the more likely you have less bills. So the larger percentage that can go towards your investing and saving.
The more aggressive you could be,
exactly.
the younger you are.
And it's probably the most aggressive you'll ever be able to be. Right? So I highly recommend at least 20% of your total income is going towards your investments and savings.
I had a guest also earlier. She's white, and she was talking about like, growing up, she was taught to just save half her paycheck.
That's amazing.
And I've seen a lot of people also. I have friends that like, if you can afford it, like you said, everyone's case is special, like, unique. But, if you start from half, no matter where you get to, you should save a percentage. Something should go into your future for your future self.
And I always tell people to try to automate the saving and investing as well.
Yes, that is so important.
Because we are human and we will spend that money on something else. Yes. So I like to take it out of my account before I even get the chance to spend it. It's gone. And that's how I was able to invest all that money and like build my portfolio to where it is.
I second that. Automation changed my... Like just the whole, basically if you have issues, for those that have like maybe issues like not spending or you don't have enough discipline, stuff like that, people like if you're in those shoes, just don't see the money.
Exactly.
Sometimes you could even automate it for like the day you get paid.
Yeah.
By the time you open your account, it's not there anymore.
It's gone.
Right? So, that way you don't have to make any decisions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I recommend it for every single person. Yeah. I've done it. And I feel like a lot of people I meet with, they have like a control issue where they're scared to do it.
Really? Why?
I don't know. Like this year especially, a lot of people I've met with one-on-one.
Do you think someone is stealing their money or like what?
I literally, I don't understand. But I think start with one. So maybe start with savings. And then once you feel comfortable, do your investments and even your bills. Like if everything can be automated, it will make your life a lot easier.
That makes sense. Yeah. What are you investing in right now? Not financial advice. This is a disclaimer. But what are you investing? What are you using your money for?
So I So I have built my business to the point where I can pay myself like $100,000 salary right now. So I invest the majority of it, and I'm trying to max out my TFSA and RSP again.
Okay.
So this year I have been mostly investing in VFE, which is like the S&P 500 ETF.
Yes.
So those 500 companies. I don't really invest in the Canadian stock market as much. So I'm also trying to build a more diversified portfolio by investing in the Canadian stock market.
Yeah.
Just a little, not too much.
You're like, at least I'm Canadian, so I should, just throw a little something there. Right?
Literally.
Yeah.
And then I do dabble in a little bit of crypto. I don't recommend it for beginners, but I have some Ethereum and Bitcoin as well that I invest in. And it's doing very well for me. I've had it since 2022, so it's been a while. Those are the main things I'm investing in. I'm investing in my enjoyment as well.
And you're investing in yourself, like
yes.
you said.
I'm taking courses right now, so that's one
courses
way.
in what, if you don't mind sharing?
I'm actually taking a trauma of money class right now.
Really?
Yeah. So it's this institution that focuses on not just money from a technical point of view, but also how money impacts you. So when you're talking about
the
attachment
money,
styles and your childhood, that's exactly what I've been learning about. So I'm taking that certification course right now, and maybe some more in the future. But I don't know. I've been out of school for a while, and I'm like, whoa, this is hard.
Like
it's hard to go back
hard.
to school.
I can imagine, and I guess we would expect some content on that soon, right?
Coming soon.
Let's talk briefly about why people find it so hard to like save and invest. Like, why do you think it's so tough? I guess in like just nowadays, like why is it tough for people to like put money aside?
I think because there's no instant gratification when you save and invest, right? With investing, everybody wants to see an immediate return. The amount of people who have started investing and then they come to me a month later and they're like, Reni, there's no gains yet. And I'm like, yeah, it's been
do something. I'm
like, it's been 1 month. So I feel like because people don't see the automatic return, it's like, well, what is the point of doing this? They're not thinking of 10 years from now or 15 years from now. They want to see it now, which I understand. But unfortunately, that's not how the stock market works. If anybody tells you that you can invest in something today and in 5 days, you're going to get a 5,000% return, it is a scam.
Call the police.
Call the police ASAP, because it is a scam. So I feel like that's why. The savings, same thing. It's like, okay, I have this money in my account, but there's no real... It's just there. I might as well enjoy my life, right? I honestly think that's a major reason why people aren't able to. And then just the discipline of not being able to put it away. There's no incentive, so why should I do it?
That's true. No
automate that and put it automate it and put it in a separate account that's outside of your main bank account. Like for example, you can have a main bank account with EQ Bank, but then all your sinking funds or saving accounts are with Simply, and then you automate that transfer from Simply to EQ every single month.
And it's not your fingertips, right?
Exactly.
And you have less access to it.
Exactly.
I think people should realize, and if you don't know, money is very emotional. For those that don't know, and I would encourage you to do the work and like look inwards, like what your relationship with money is like, like the kind of emotions money evokes in you, and then you could start to handle, a problem. Like I guess a problem like identified is like already half solved. So
and there are also financial therapists as well, and people
which sounds like a very millennial 2024
I know, right? In 2022 I met with one and we did a call to get like a session together, and I actually was crying at the end of the call, and I was like, I don't have any money trauma. Like I grew up, I know, and I was actually crying about some stuff, and I was like, wow, this is really helpful. So I would recommend that everyone looks into a financial therapy if you find that you have maybe like it's hard to spend money, hard to save money, or you spend too much money. Honestly, I feel like anybody could benefit from a call with a financial therapist.
Especially if you're any of the extremes.
Yes.
That's very important. Quickly, getting out of debt for people. A lot of debt is like, I guess credit is what makes the world go round, right?
Yes.
But
in North America.
In North America, right? Right. A lot of like, I guess Africans, I can speak, are very like debt averse. Like, they would do anything but get into debt. But how do you, what advice would you have for people for getting out of debt? Just like sort of paying their credit card debt versus like saving, like basically if I'm in a lot of debt, how do I get out already?
Yeah. Okay. So if you're in a lot of debt, the first thing that you need to do is that you need to write down all your debts that you have, because I feel like a lot of people,
that's so triggering for people.
I know. And because people don't want to face
Yeah.
it. Because I've met with people, and so in my one-on-ones, one of my requirements for them is that they have to tell me all the debt they have, the interest rate of all their debt, and the minimum payments for all their debt. And they'll be like, yeah, I have like $30,000 of debt. When we total it up, they have $50,000 of debt, right? So people just tend to push it to the side and kind of ignore it, which I understand it's very overwhelming, but it's better to face it head on. So you write it down, you write, okay, this is the debt, this is my credit card from this bank, I have this balance, this is the interest rate, and this is the minimum payment that's due every month, and write those all out. So you can basically categorize them in which one is the most high interest debt, and then you can pay that one off first, right? Because some people have payday loans, which have 45% interest rates, 60, like the criminal code, I don't know what it is right now. It's like 60% is the max that you can have. And a lot of people have that max, right? So I think it's really important to write down what this debt is costing you, basically.
60% is criminal.
I know.
Like that, it is.
But imagine it was higher before.
Yeah, I was about to say. Like,
yeah, that's them lowering it. I think it's 57% or something like that.
Man.
Yeah. But so I think that's the first step. Then another thing you have to do is actually write down how much you make each month. And how much you spend each month. Because again, a lot of people are not aware of how much is coming into their account and out of their account. Yeah. The reason that a lot of people can't get out of debt is because they're spending more than they make every month. So they're paying $500 towards their credit card every month, but you're spending $600 on your credit card every month. So there's no way that it's ever going to decrease in value, right? So I feel like that's the second step. And then you have to make a plan. And this is the hardest part that a lot of people don't like, but you actually have to make a plan. So which debt am I going to tackle first out of all those? So let's say you have 3 different lines of credit. Which one are you actually going to tackle first? I ideally like to go with the one that is the highest interest rate, but that doesn't work for everyone. Yeah. Sometimes it's like the one that is the lowest balance.
The snowball.
You pay that one off so that it will give you the
the gratification, like you said, the instant gratification.
It'll give you the gratification, the vim to actually pay off the next one. Because it's like, okay, I paid off one, let's go on to the next one. For other people, it's like, okay, this debt is costing me the most. This is the one that I am going to tackle first. And then they go from the first to the second highest to the third, and then they keep going like that way. Or for other people, it's like, this debt is the most stressful for me. This is me owing my best friend, and it has a 0% interest rate, but my relationship with my best friend,
80% emotional rate,
right? Yeah, like it's about to ruin my relationship with my best friend. So then they're like, this is the one I have to pay off first. So I think it's really important to come up with a plan. And you can do that by yourself, or maybe hire somebody to sit with you one-on-one and tackle it for you. Because I find that when I sit with people, they actually have to do it because I'm not getting off the call until we actually finish it. Whereas if you're doing it by yourself, you may just be like, I'm not, I don't feel like doing this today, and then just stop looking at it. So those may be a plan. And then automate the payments ideally.
This is the fifth time you're hearing automate.
Yes, please. Just like you would automate your savings and investing, automate your payments towards your debt, because then it's a non-negotiable in your budget. It's always coming out and going there. And sometimes it's like, okay, this year I'm not going to go on a vacation. I'm going to work on paying off all my debt this year. Also, I feel like a lot of people, I see that they're saving and investing and paying off their debt, which I understand. And this is controversial because some people say you should do all 3 at the same time. I think ideally you should have an emergency fund. That's something you should have. But I honestly don't think you should be investing and paying off your high interest debt. No. If your debt is at, let's say 19.99%, a typical credit card here, the stock market
is not giving you.
It's hustling. You're hustling backwards this way. Like the stock market is increasing, let's say 10% on a good year. Yeah. And then your debt is increasing by 19.99%. It's you're hustling backwards. Yes. So I would tell you to prioritize paying off that debt before you invest. Yeah. Some people do both at the same time. That's their choice. Yep. But that would be my suggestion to most people.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for advising us on that.
My pleasure.
If I'm a 21-year-old right now, and I'm just like maybe fresh out of school, new job, no debt, maybe some debt, what should I be doing with my money?
You have a job? Yes.
Yes. Job.
I would say, and how much debt do you have? Like, is it student loan debt?
No, not student loan, but negligible, like credit card debt, maybe.
That's not negligible. I feel like you should never have
for students. Like, I guess.
I feel like we should focus on having zero credit card debt at all times. Yeah, in my opinion, it's just really expensive debt to carry.
Okay.
Like, if you think about it, why am I paying $100 and then repaying them $119?
That's true.
You know,
that's very true.
And it's usually, if you look at someone's credit cards, usually not for emergencies or anything.
Yes,
it's for like, I bought this purse, it's $100, but now I'm paying $119 for the same purse. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, let's say no debt. Let's make it simple.
Okay.
Fresh out of school, no debt.
Okay, so this would be the time where I would say you should start investing in the stock market and start saving. So the savings that I would tell you to focus on would be your emergency fund. So an emergency fund, for those that don't know, is when you have like 3 months to 12 months of expenses of the amount of your expenses in your savings account. Yeah. So let's say you spend $2,000 a month because you still live at home. You spend only $2,000 a month, and those are your essential expenses every single month. In that case, you want to have at least $6,000 in a bank account. So 2,000 times 3, you want to have at least $6,000 in a bank account, and this is money that you can just relax. Like if you lost your job, if anything happened, this is your fallback fund, basically. So that's what I would prioritize. And also that gives you a level of peace, knowing that if anything happens, I'm okay. At least for 3 months, I'm okay. And it depends on your situation. Like if you know you live alone and you can't run back to mommy and daddy if anything happens, or if you work in an industry where finding a new job can take 6 months plus, you may need more in your emergency fund. So that's the first thing I would focus on. Second thing would be investing in the stock market. Start the S&P 500. That's where I would start off, honestly.
You seem like a poster child for the
right?
S&P
I really
500.
am.
Yeah.
I used to pick stocks only,
really?
But I find that it's very time consuming.
Yes.
And I'm a lazy investor. Every 2 weeks, I check my portfolio twice a month. Like that's it. I'm not I rarely check my portfolio. Yeah.
Same.
So when you do invest in individual stocks, I feel like you usually do have to monitor them a bit more because if something is happening in the news and let's say Elon Musk decides he wants to...
You have to like run to like...
should I sell this? You know? So I don't have the patience or the time for that. Yeah. So I would rather just invest in the funds that will grow and have grown for the past 150 years. Okay. So yeah, those would be my 2 recommendations. And also invest in yourself, you know? Yes. Upskilling would be something. Obviously, you just started your first job, but... networking with people, upskilling, those can really help you to significantly increase your income in the time. And honestly, the easiest way to get richer is to increase your income. You can only save so much. You can only...
That's true.
Yeah. And so I would tell you to focus on increasing your income.
Okay. That's very good advice. I want to ask you, what is your best and worst financial decisions you've made? Or what are the best and worst financial decisions you've made?
So the worst financial decision that I have made is, which one do I pick?
You're like, which of the many?
Other than the fixed rate versus variable rate, I would say the worst financial decision that I've made is investing in cannabis stocks without doing any research on cannabis stocks. Like, it's not whatever. It's like, it's not like I had a lot of money to invest, but I definitely did not do any research.
Were you just feeling trendy?
Literally. It was like Twitter. People were saying, go invest. Cannabis is about to be legalized next year. Invest in this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to invest. And then, it didn't end up too hot. I made actually a lot of money on one of the stocks. And then the other stock lost all my money. So it canceled each other. Yeah. Okay. So I would say that was my worst financial decision. Just because I didn't follow anything that I...
No logic.
Literally zero logic, just vibes.
Just vibes.
Yeah. So that's my worst financial mistake. And then my best...
I should say that's not that bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of my previous guests also said their worst financial decision was buying a couch. I'm like, this is not... There are people that are fighting for their lives out here.
I know, right?
So I just want to say, like, you're not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad, actually, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Your best.
And then my best financial decision, honestly, I would say quitting my job to start... entrepreneurship would be one of my best financial decisions ever. Okay. Like the amount of money that I'm able to make every year could never make this in corporate. I don't think, at least. Maybe if I worked in like tech as a software engineer or something, but I do not. And I do not have that skill set yet. I could if I want to, I guess.
Reni codes.
Yeah, right. But right now, I think just betting on myself and
Yes.
like taking that leap of faith was honestly the best decision that I've ever made for my finances, for mental health, for my happiness. It's been a great decision.
Yeah, that's very wholesome. You are your best financial decision.
I
That's,
am.
you should get that on a t-shirt.
I know, I really should.
You recently mentioned you made more in a month than you made in a year while you were
Do
working.
you follow me on Twitter?
I do.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I do. You recently said that you made more in a month than you made in a year while working.
Yes.
Was that when you realized that? What was the emotion behind that, and did that feel like a milestone moment for you?
Honestly, I don't know. It didn't really feel like a milestone moment because I think what was a milestone moment was making my first $100 on YouTube.
Okay.
It literally like...
Is it like a proof of concept type thing, right?
it blew my mind.
Wow.
That's the best moment ever. I was like, wow, I just made $100 on YouTube.
Wow.
This like that moment felt way better than this. I don't know why.
Really?
And of course, my business made this money. It's not in my pockets. CRA, if you're
Right.
listening.
Just like, hey, tax man, Uncle Sam, this is not my money.
But in my last role, I made it like 71K. And yeah, last month I made around that as well.
Wow.
And yeah, it was pretty cool. All my invoices hit that month, and and I did some really big brand deals as well with large companies.
Okay.
So yeah, I got compensated fairly for
Congrats.
that. So
and does that like reinforce your decision to like go out on your own? Are those like the things that I made the right decision?
I guess so, yeah.
Or like every little thing is already like it already
I
reinforces.
feel like I've already felt like I'm walking my purpose way before
For a
this.
long time,
I
yeah.
think honestly helping people and the fact that people's lives they tell me that their lives have been changed.
Yeah.
That's honestly what like reinforces it more.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never been like my partner actually is the one who told me, he's the one who told me to like, you need to increase your price. He's literally the only reason my rent, same thing.
Yeah.
Increasing my price for my accountability group. I quadrupled it this year because of him.
Wow.
And
yeah,
he was right.
You have to surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah,
right?
honestly. So I feel like, like those are like, I love money obviously, but I'm not like, I want to make things accessible for people.
Yeah.
So I also don't like to charge people. I'd rather charge the big brands the money.
I see.
But
because they have it to pay.
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to make finance accessible. I can't be charging you guys like $1,000 whatever.
Right? It's like that's counterproductive, right? I'm telling you to
Exactly.
save, but you're spending all your money
Exactly.
on my teachings.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I want to paint you a picture. So your dad said you had never been to the real Nigeria, so take this with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
But you're in Nigeria, somewhere in the trenches, right? Or like somewhere tough.
Yes.
And like normal, like adult, like, you greet them, all that stuff. And they ask you, what do you do? And you say you're a content creator.
Yeah.
Or, personal finance content creator. You could imagine the look on their faces, right? I use that to ask, like, what do your parents think of what you do? You've already spoken about your parents, so maybe not typical parents, but like, what do they think about what you do?
I think I know, not that I think, they're very proud of me, but it wasn't always like that.
Really?
So when I started, my dad was like, he was okay with it though. He came on my channel and he was the one who helped me feel like I could do this because he came on my channel and spoke with me. So I'm like, okay, someone who knows a bit more than me is also talking. So I don't feel like an imposter basically. And I think he was just, when I started sharing my numbers, he was like, whoa, what's going on here? Nobody needs to know how much money is. Yeah. So I feel like that was his beef. But he was always supportive. And then my mom. So when I quit my job, I lived with them, but I didn't tell them that I was quitting my job.
Really?
I knew they would
push back, right?
Yeah. So I just quit. I just quit my job.
Wow.
And I told my dad, and my dad was like, why? He was just confused, but like, what are you doing? I said, Dad, I'm tired. He's like, okay, well, just go find another job. And I was like, I think I'm gonna pursue like YouTube. And he was like, how do people make money from, like, he was just like, he saw me making a bit of money, but he was just confused about how I would actually make real money to sustain myself. And he was like, the kind of lifestyle you want, you can't do this on like some small, like you can't really,
some change, right?
Exactly. He's like, you like to travel, you can't do this with making little money. But then we went on a walk and he was basically like, okay, I'll give you 1 year. You live here, so whatever, but you have 1 year to actually figure things out. I said, okay, I could bet. Let's
Challenge
do this.
accepted, right? You love a challenge,
right?
Remember?
I do.
Okay.
Honestly, gamify anything for me.
And you're there.
Yes, that's how my brain works.
Okay.
And then when my mom, I didn't tell her. I still haven't told her to this day. My dad told her. My dad told her, and I don't know how she reacted because I wasn't there, but my dad just told her that she quit. And I was like, And then she came up to me later and she was like, Reni, I had dreams for you. And I was like, wow. She's like, I saw you being the chief marketing officer of the Bank of Montreal. I saw you doing big things.
Oh, no.
And I was like, okay, I can still do big things. But she just really did not believe in this, which is fine. I get it. She doesn't understand. It was the next year when I was invited to meet Justin Trudeau. And read the federal budget that she was like, oh, okay.
African parents, I love it.
And she posted that all over her WhatsApp story, you know? It was all over her WhatsApp story.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I think now they're so proud of me. There's not a podcast my mom has not listened to, so she'll listen to this.
Wow.
There's not a video she hasn't shared. Anyone who follows my story, my mom, it's literally me and my sister on her story, just sharing everything that we post. Yeah.
I love it.
So she's really extremely supportive. And she understands what I do now.
Yeah.
And my dad also... He doesn't really watch, but I don't know.
He knows that you're doing well.
Yeah, he's supportive. And I'm having an event this summer, and they're going to be the panelists speaking to everybody at the event. So they're really supportive.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's really wholesome. I love when families like sort of and African parents, you gotta show them proof of concept.
Yes,
for a lot of things
really
before they believe. But in the end, it is what it is.
Okay.
I want to get into some more like fun questions, and again, I said feel free if you don't want to answer. But I recently spoke to a previous guest about like online fame.
Online
fame.
Okay.
And like being recognizable or recognized like, in a lot of places. And he said the toughest part of that is people feeling like they know you. Especially online, like not even in person, but like online. Like people just say things and approach you in a way like they know you. What has been your biggest struggle with being recognizable, a lot more recognizable than a few years ago?
I have a few.
Okay.
I have some beef.
I'm listening.
The first thing, as the other person said, is that people feel like they know you. When it's like, I barely, I share about money and travel.
Yeah.
You don't know anything else about me, really, but they feel like they do. So one thing, like they will in person approach me, but like they don't realize that I don't know them. Even if I've responded to your DM or anything, I actually don't know what you look like because your profile's private. Or I talk to so many people, there's no way I can remember what everyone's face looks like, right? So like last week, someone came up to me at church and they were like, oh, hey, Reni. And I was like, hi. Like, I always say hi because I'm like, I don't want to be rude, but like, I don't know. Like, can you say your name? Can you say, introduce, how do you know me?
Yeah.
And then,
give me something.
And they were like, oh, can I get your number? And I was like, no. And it's a girl. It's not like she was trying to holler at me, but she was just like, can I get your number? I was like, oh, I don't really give out my number to people. She's like, and I don't want her to feel like I'm being rude to her, right?
There's a balance.
Exactly. Right? But I just don't know you. Right? And she didn't even say her name. Like till this day, I don't know her name, right? So
it's a bit unhinged to ask someone that for their number that you've never.
And it was like at 9 p.m. and she like was following me to my car to ask me this too. So it was a little weird. Also, last week was an interesting week. So I go jogging every morning or rollerblading, whichever one I just feel like. Yeah. This day I was jogging. And then I was also on FaceTime, or I was walking, and I was on FaceTime as I was walking. And then a car like passed me, and then I don't know, I didn't pay attention to it. I get home, and then the car is following me.
Stop.
And then the car, I look back, and then a man comes out of his car.
Oh no!
I'm saying hi to my neighbor. I'm like, hi, whatever. And then this man, a black man, I'm like, there aren't really that many black people in my neighborhood. So I'm like thinking I know him or something. And he's like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I almost hit you back there. And I was like, did you? Like,
no,
I didn't know him. And then he's like, I'm like standing at my doorstep at this point. He walks onto my driveway and I'm like, can I help you? He's like, oh, you're that girl from Instagram, right? what's your name again? What's your name again? And I'm just
Oh,
like,
no.
but like, he acts like he didn't know me at first. That was my problem.
Yeah.
If he just come out and
said it, right?
yeah, he acted like he didn't know me, and then he's like,
He didn't
oh,
want to be a fan, really.
right?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's me. How can I help you? And he says, oh, can I get your number? And I said, no, I don't give out my number. Da, 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 da. I said, are you Nigerian? And he said, no, I'm whatever. He said he's Kenyan. And I said, okay. Like, I'm thinking, is there some way I know this guy? he said, oh, yeah, give me your number. And I said, no, I have a partner. And he said, oh yeah, I know you do. I see you going up and down in Senegal, wearing all those nice outfits. You were in Nigeria. Da, da, da. And I was like, whoa.
No.
He was like literally recalling my life online, which of course I share. I'm not mad that people know that I'm in Senegal. I shared it, but I'm just like, why'd you act like you didn't know me? It was so weird.
Man.
And then afterwards, I went home, and then the next day I posted on my story, leave women alone when they're walking. And then he responds to my story.
No way.
Yeah. And you can see when a person has followed you. He's followed me since 2022.
Okay.
He's engaged with lots of my... He obviously knew who I was.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then he messaged, oh, it was harmless. I wasn't trying to do anything. Da, da, da. I just blocked him because, but I was just like, this is really weird.
That is really weird.
The fact that it was at my house was the annoying part, because now you know where I live.
I was going to say, like, then you have to be careful.
Exactly.
Now, and like, almost like, because it's really weird.
And I'm like...
It's parasocial.
Yeah. Extremely parasocial.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah. And then one more thing that happens is that people... Again, they think we're friends, so they trauma dump in my DMs. Like last week, I was talking about privilege on my stories, and I was having a conversation about how, like, oh, privilege, like all the ways that these are things that we think, or we don't necessarily think are privileges, but they are. And then I said something about like, oh, having parents that don't see you as a retirement plan is a big privilege, and I think that's a pretty like obvious statement, you know. And then this girl comes into my DMs. Oh, well, I was orphaned at the age of this, and like,
wow, straight up the jump.
It's a privilege to just have parents. And I was like,
oh no,
what am I supposed to? I was like, what am I supposed to say to this? I didn't respond, and that happens a lot. It's not just her; like, it happens a lot. So I used to do these discussion posts on my story every single week.
Because you want to interact with people, right?
And it would align with my YouTube video for the week, so that it would generate conversation. And I'm like, go watch my YouTube video about this.
Makes sense.
And I forgot why I stopped. And then last week I remembered why I stopped. Because people just like pour everything into my DMs. And I'm like, I get it, but I'm also a random person too. Yeah. So... yeah, and on Twitter, people get mad about everything. So that's another thing. But I don't really care about that.
Yeah, you're like immune to that now.
Yeah.
Did it ever bother you, like when you first started out?
I don't think so. I just mute, like, the second a post is reaching like 1,000 views or something, I'm just like, let me mute this before it gets crazy. Especially if it reaches Nigerian Twitter. Oh my gosh. It's above me at that point. Yeah. They like to insult. They don't even like correct, they insult.
Yeah. it's not a conversation. You're just here to like be bad vibes, basically.
Literally, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Especially as a woman. Oh my God. The men just It's as well.
It is well. Yeah. I guess following on from that, you were very vocal. I think you were at the end of a relationship and you were dating. And I think you had a lot of interesting experiences dating.
Plenty, yes.
Can you talk a bit about that and like what dating is like from your POV and like, even especially linked back to like, being recognizable also?
Yeah. So honestly, I've had the majority good experiences, I will say. But I feel like guys approach me and then they have like a preconceived notion of who I am because of my social media presence, right? So in that case, it's very hard to live up to whatever they've dreamt up in their head. On, right? Yeah, and I'm like, bro, I'm just a normal person.
This is not Reni the resource. This is Reni right
exactly.
here. Yeah.
Like I went on a date once. I hope he doesn't listen to this. But
I hope he does.
I went on a date with this guy and he asked me, or he started taking pictures of me during the date. And it was the first date. It wasn't like we knew each other. It was just, and I was just
I'm having like secondhand embarrassments right now.
And I was like, interesting. And then whatever. I didn't read too much into it. I'm like, maybe, it would be cute if
was it like secretly?
We were mini golfing and then he took a picture of me. But it's like, he didn't send it to me. He just took it. So I'm like, are you sending this to your group chat? Like, hey guys, I'm on a date. But whatever. I didn't read into it too much. And then when I got home, he asked me, was the date #Reni rated? And I was like,
oh no. Why?
Like, interesting. Yeah. So that's an example of like, but most of the guys, honestly, they're very normal, but I don't meet them in online. So that's why, like, the guy I'm seeing now, I met him in person. So I feel like that's why it worked.
That cuts out a lot of like complexities.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. He's a social media person. Maybe that helps as well. Okay. So he's not like watching my stories and stuff.
So would your advice to other content creators, don't date people that are following you?
I think it can work. But you know Tony Tones and
yes,
Ty?
But
they're both content creators. It's different. It's actually different. Yeah. But I don't think I would date a content creator.
As a content creator, you wouldn't date one?
Like, what's he doing online? It depends what he's doing.
Are you one of those as a man? Why are you making content?
As a man. No, I'm joking. It depends what he's doing. Okay. Is he doing fashion content or is he doing finance content? If he's doing finance content, we can go on. I have no comments on the comedy front. I have no comments.
Oh, okay. That was really interesting. I wish we could pull some threads, but I'll let you go. I'll let you go off scotch-free. In true don't go broke trying fashion, which is your podcast, we're gonna do an Am I the Asshole?
Oh, exciting.
Yes. Okay. So, am I the asshole for wanting a divorce from my husband who lost 200K on Bitcoin? My husband and I have been married 10 years. For our entire relationship, I have brought the majority of the money into the home. I contribute 75 of that, basically. I don't mind, really. It's not something I think about, and I've always considered it our money. Our country is really expensive, and I grew up not in a large city, and I grew up poor. When I had the chance to go to university, I studied hard, learned 3 languages, got 2 degrees, and I was able to secure a good position in finance. Years later, I made a very good salary, and we don't have to worry about money. We decided that my husband would handle all the money and finances for the home. I would check on the accounts every once in a while, but I haven't been checking regularly. A few weeks ago, I was thinking of buying a Model 3 Tesla since it has recently come to our country and I've fancied it for some time. I played with the numbers, and while figuring out if I can afford it or not, I realized that there was a weird mistake in our accounts. There was 300K USD missing.
Her husband is the mistake.
When my husband got home, I showed him the accounts, and after some pushing, he admitted that he lost 200K in cryptocurrency in 2018. This is about 25% of our savings. Besides being shocked and angry, I cannot help to feel that he stole from me. He put money into something stupid without talking to me and then tried to hide it. I was thinking about this for a week, and I talked to my friends and family about it. They think we should see a doctor and talk about it, try to work out the problem, but I honestly just want to get divorced. If he's capable of doing this, how can I ever trust him ever again? Am I the asshole for not wanting to go to therapy? Am I the asshole for thinking about divorce?
Not the asshole. Not the asshole at all. $200,000 is, and it'd be one thing if it was his money that you lost, but he lost her money.
Yes.
That's insane. I'm sorry.
Go. I want to get your thoughts on this.
My thoughts are that, okay, I think, divorce shouldn't be our first option.
Yes.
We should probably go to therapy. But as you said, this is kind of like a betrayal of, because it's not just that he lost it, he also lied about it on top of it and tried to hide it for years. It's giving he's not trustworthy. How can you trust him with anything else ever again?
I feel like there's layers to this, right? Like, it's not just about the money.
No.
It's about trust. It's about like breaking trust, right?
Huge
and for years, like, he's not hiding it for like, it's not like he took a week to like process for years, right?
Yeah. He was never going to tell her. He was hoping that he could make the money back somehow and replace it.
True. I never thought about that.
He was never going to tell her.
Maybe he went to like bet and like he's trying to hit a parlay or something.
Literally. Nah, he's not to be trusted.
Wow.
And I also feel like it's like it's like he cheated on her, basically. There's this thing that I've learned in my trauma of money class called financial infidelity, which is essentially when you do, like, it can be little things like when a wife is overspending on shopping, for example, and then she doesn't tell her, instead of like, her husband has told her, you need to stop doing this. And instead of that, she'll just do it secretly, you know? It can be a few $100s, whatever, but it's still financial infidelity. This is it times 1 million. This is too much.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not fair, especially because she's the one who is the primary breadwinner. Yes. But even if she wasn't the primary breadwinner, it doesn't matter, because they're combining their funds.
She also said she sees the money as their money, right?
Oh, she's so nice. Yeah. She's not a Nigerian woman.
She's like, I can tell your race. 75% is a lot. And again, like you said, our money and stuff, but if you put in 75% and he spends it like nothing, 200K is crazy though.
I know. What is he? I would feel hurt, betrayed, angry. Like I could never trust him again.
Another thing I realized is that like he definitely didn't take 200K at once.
Small.
Exactly. So he's like getting 20, 30, 50, like
100%.
So this was like over time and like premeditated, if that makes sense, right?
And he never thought.
And he could have stopped anytime.
Maybe I should tell her. Or maybe as it's dropping, you know, if it's down 10%, okay, maybe I should take it out now instead of losing all of it.
Right.
Yeah, he's not to be trusted.
Maybe he was even going to spend more.
I know.
That's another thing I'm thinking about. Like.
Yeah, but I just don't know where they could go from here.
Yeah.
Because again, how do you trust him after that? Unless she is the one who's managing everything. But do you really want to baby your husband like that?
Exactly.
And like no, it's like he cheated on you.
Yeah, it would take a lot of therapy. To like almost 200K worth.
She's a better woman than I am.
So your vote is not okay. Off the record, or on the record, no, don't divorce. Off the record, kick him to the curb.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Reni. Those are some strong opinions.
Today, now.
Today.
Yes.
We're gonna wrap up with quick fire.
Okay.
And some like cute questions at the end, but quick fire. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I always say quick fire, but it ends up not being quick fire, but we'll try our best. Okay. Favorite travel destination?
Rwanda. Or Colombia. Or Thailand.
Oh, I knew another or was coming.
But Rwanda, yeah.
Okay, so gun to your head, you're saying Rwanda. Any reason? Quickly, any reason why?
I feel very safe there. Really? I love that there are all Black people there. I don't know. It's like a vibe. It's just safe especially for women. It's a very safe environment, and and it's really clean. Like the cleanest place I've ever been in my life.
So we really should visit Rwanda.
You really should.
You know, like they have a campaign. Yeah. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yes,
favorite YouTube channel?
I don't know.
That's not yours, obviously.
I don't watch much YouTube anymore. I like Steph and Dan's channel.
Okay. Favorite episode of Don't Go Broke Trying?
Okay, I have two.
Okay.
Don't Go Broke Trying to Escape a Financial Abuser, whatever the title was. Okay. Basically, it was I interviewed somebody who has dealt with financial abuse from her partner and how she left that situation. Okay. So I felt like, obviously it's not the most exciting episode, but it's very impactful. Okay. A lot of people told me that they realized that they have been financially abused. Wow. Yeah, it was really impactful episode. Really? Yeah. Wow. And then Don't Go Broke Trying to battle a chronic illness. So I interviewed somebody who is a sickle cell survivor, or she has a sickle cell warrior, and she talked about how expensive it is to face a chronic illness and live with a chronic illness. I had no idea how expensive. You know, you think healthcare is free in Canada. Yeah. No, it's free up to a point. Yeah, a lot of it is not free. So I think those are my top two. And one more from this season would be Don't Go Broke Trying to Invest in the Stock Market. Okay. I interviewed Eduek Brooks of Two Sides of a Dime, and she taught us about how she went from, I think it was $60,000 of debts to having a 6-figure investment portfolio. Very inspirational.
So those are your top three.
Yeah, I know I was supposed to do one, but yeah.
So it's okay. Your favorite brand to work with? And whoever she says, you need to add some more zeros.
I really like working with Interact. I've done
Okay.
really cool campaigns with them.
Okay.
So I worked with them on a TTC campaign last year because you can now tap your Interact card on the TTC. This year I did a boxing campaign with them called
Okay.
Fraud Fighters,
Okay.
where I was fighting fraud and
Okay.
literally teaching a boxing. Well, I wasn't teaching the boxing class, but I
Okay.
was teaching them about fraud during the boxing class. It was just a really cool experience. So
Yeah.
I've worked with them 3 times, hoping to continue working with
Okay,
them.
with some more zeros.
Yes.
Not from Reni's mouth, but my mouth.
Yeah.
Best speaking engagement so far. Your favorite speaking engagement so far?
A few. Okay, let me pick one.
Okay.
When I went to Edmonton, so I was flown out to Edmonton by the same girl who came on my podcast,
Okay.
Ufoma. She came on my podcast to talk about sickle cell. She has a sickle cell support organization.
Is it the Traveler?
No, the other,
Oh,
a
okay.
different one.
Okay, sorry.
It's called Not Just You. That's her.
Okay, that's her. Okay.
Organization, and they talk about sickle cell, and I spoke to an audience, and I think the reason I liked it so much was because I was in a different place in Toronto, and I was like, wow, people really know me in
Really?
a whole other province.
Inter province, Reni.
Literally, I'm like, we nationwide.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool experience for
Okay.
me.
I think you had another one you wanted to say. Don't worry. You could.
I have a lot.
Yeah.
I also last year got to speak for YouTube Canada. They had an event, Elevate Festival. And yeah, they chose me to speak. And I was with creators who are like have multi-million followers. And they
Well.
chose me to speak on that panel. And I was like, I'm so honored. So
Yeah, that's like they know why they chose you. So that's props to you. Favorite Toronto restaurant, but I want to like adjust this and say, because I know you might have a Toronto restaurant agenda, so you could say GTA favorite GTA
oh
restaurant.
my gosh. I don't know.
Because I know you like food, so
I
but
love
no
food.
pressure. No pressure.
This is so hard. Okay, number 1, Rick's Good Eats.
Okay.
It's in Mississauga, and it is Punjabi fusion. I don't know what Western.
Yeah.
Punjabi Western fusion.
Okay.
And so basically like fries, but then tandoori chicken on top.
Oh, okay.
It's really good. I think
Yeah.
everybody should try it once.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the place I go to a lot.
Okay.
I also like Nigerian food. So Flo's Grill
Okay.
in North York is a fave for me. Their asun is really good.
Okay.
And their aforiro is really good.
Okay.
Where else? I don't know. I'm struggling to think of restaurants. I have a whole list on my phone.
That's
but
okay. It's
yeah.
like I guess we'll go with Rick's Good Eats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top tier.
Yeah. Favorite cuisine or dish?
Thai food. I
Really?
really love Thai food.
Really?
But not the Thai food in Canada. It's not the best. But except for Chiang Mai. I really like Chiang Mai.
Okay.
Yeah, Thai food.
And favorite dish?
Ooh. Pad see ew. Have you had it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have had pad see ew.
I think that's a fave with
Yeah.
beef. With beef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I also like Nigerian food.
What's your favorite Nigerian dish?
Aforiro.
And
But not assorted. I don't like assorted.
really,
Ugh. I am a texture person.
it has to be assorted.
No, it cannot.
no.
I need just turkey. I like turkey in my FO.
Turkey in your FRO?
That's it.
No beef. No.
Okay, we can have a little beef.
Okay.
That's it. But
No chicken.
no. I don't like, you know when they put shaki and pama? Oh, it's so nasty.
You're you're doing too much right now.
I don't, there are too many textures going on. I don't like I'm a big texture person. Moi moi.
Yeah.
I don't like the texture of moi moi.
Yeah.
I don't like avocados.
I know what
I don't like
ooh.
bananas. All
This
because
is
of the
getting,
texture.
This is getting controversial. Like that took a left turn. Like
No, but the
assorted to like
texture.
avocados and bananas.
The
That's
texture. They all taste like baby food.
I'm a texture eater and I don't like oats and like
Oats?
custard and stuff like that.
Okay,
but
custard. Yeah.
bananas.
Yeah. It's mushy, like a
Yikes.
baby food. Yeah, I can't do
Really?
it.
Those banana people out there and avocados, you get her in the comments, please.
Please.
Final 2 here. Mississauga or Toronto?
Oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
I like both.
Yeah? No, you gotta choose. No
For what?
fencing.
Raising a family? Mississauga.
Just city. As a city.
I would say Toronto.
Okay.
There's more in Toronto.
Okay. Where do you feel better?
At home, in my bed. Mississauga.
Well, fair enough. And finally, one accessory you can't live without.
Accessory.
Yeah.
My rings.
Okay. You always have
Yeah.
to have rings on.
Yeah, it's funny because before 2020, I never wore jewelry. No earrings,
Really?
no rings, no necklaces,
Why?
no nothing. I
Is
don't
that
know.
like belief?
I was just, like, I literally have 6 ear piercings and I never would wear them. And then after COVID, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm a jewelry wearer.
I'm out here.
Yeah.
Basically.
It was actually when I started making videos. I was like, my face looks empty. I need an earring. And now I
see.
always wear earrings.
Wow.
Yeah. It's weird.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Final two questions. In a couple years or a few years, when you come back, hopefully, and you've made it, or like we say, Reni has made it. What does that look like for you?
I don't know. What does it look like?
I want you to paint us a picture.
I'm happy. I'm already happy, so I don't know, but I'm still happy. Mm-hmm. I have a loving partner. Mm-hmm. I am location independent, so I can travel anywhere I want at any time. I'm financially free, so I don't have to work anymore. Maybe I'll still be creating content, maybe not. Who knows? There's a creator recently who stopped creating content, and she just has her course, and she made how many million this year from that course? Yeah, and I was like, this is the life.
That's the goal.
Yeah, so I think I'll still create content, but maybe not to the same level as I do right now. Or I'll have a whole team behind me so that I can just sit there, look pretty, talk, and leave. And that would be my ideal, because I do enjoy making content. It's just everything around it is time consuming. So yeah, I think that would be what I look like.
Okay.
But just happy, honestly. That's the goal.
So just to recap, happy, financially free, travel independent, well-fed, obviously.
Yes.
Loving partner.
I would love a chef. I would love to have a chef.
You're the second guest to say that.
No, that's literally my dream.
Their definition of making it was having a chef.
You're right. That's literally it.
Okay.
Everything else, scrap that.
Yeah.
I just need the chef.
Once you can afford a personal chef consistently, you're
literally every day of my life.
Wow.
Because I don't like cooking. I've told Christiana this. I don't enjoy cooking.
I feel like we bond on that. I feel like cooking has a very low ROI.
0. Okay, no, not 0. 1%.
Like the amount of work it takes to eat for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's so pointless. Like this morning, I was slaving in the kitchen. I was like, what am I doing? It's a waste of my time.
Honestly.
But I do enjoy breakfast.
And it starts from breakfast is when I travel, hotels and resorts that have good breakfast.
Yeah. It's a bit of me.
I'll be there.
It's a bit of me.
No matter what, I'll be there.
I love a good breakfast. Today I made an omelet with some
not avocados for sure.
Yeah. And halloumi and smoked salmon. Yeah. I was like, this is the life.
Wow,
I'm
this
living.
is that's quite the breakfast.
Yeah. Oh, I that's the one meal that I will cook every day. Yeah. Everything else, I could rather not eat.
I love a good English. I don't know why.
With baked beans?
You're like I was with you and I'm not with you anymore.
Baked beans?
Optional, but I don't mind baked beans.
What else is there on that plate?
You have the sausages, the eggs, the bacon, ham.
No. No.
I know.
Immediately no.
I think it's from childhood, going to London a lot. I just really like the breakfast. It was. Not you judging me.
I'm
sitting
judging.
across from
I'm really
me.
judging. I can't eat beans either. That's another food.
I never ate beans when I was growing up, and I feel like I would have been taller.
My mom always says that.
Yeah, I feel, and my mom was telling me back then that you want to grow up to be taller. Yes,
where did they get that from, though?
Beans are one of the very few plant proteins, right?
I can't do it.
I just couldn't eat beans.
And now?
Now I don't also.
Oh, okay.
I think when they made food, my family, they would make something separate from me.
Wow, they're nice. My mom would be like, you better eat this. I hated beans, so I still do. It's not good. It's not good at all.
No, beans is down my list. Final question. Mm-hmm. Who do you think would make a great guest for this show? But there's one caveat. You have to help us get them.
Ooh.
Take your time. This section, people usually think. I had a guest last time. He mentioned 5 people who's okay, this guy, but then this guy also, but then this guy. So who do you think would make a great guest for this show?
But who helped get me?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Behind the scenes. Stuff happening behind the scenes.
I feel like... Okay, wait, let me think more.
Think about it. I know we usually take a few minutes here. No, just go through your mental Rolodex.
because I have ideas, but I can't help you get them. So I'm trying to think of someone I can help you get. Because I met, you know, Tunde, the chess guy.
Yes.
I met him in
New York.
No, when I was in Senegal, he was there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and now but I don't know. We're not that close. Okay.
Okay.
Let me think. Okay, I actually think Tokes. Do you know Tokes?
Yes.
Tokes Ayinla. I think she would be an excellent guest. She's so smart. The way she answers questions, I feel like we call her a fortune cookie because she has wisdom that's always coming. Yeah, so I feel like she was her episode on my podcast is one of the most played episodes because she's that girl. She knows how to speak eloquently, and she has a great story as well.
Okay. Our producer will lock that in. And we look forward to like helping us get Tokes. But it's been amazing, Reni the resource, extra Reni to some people.
Yes.
This was a lot of fun. And I appreciate you for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
She makes financial discussions simple. Reni the resource. Thank you.
Great. Yay. You're such a good